All make it our mission to make this whole world fall in love with the natural world, and hopefully through that love we will make people find it within themselves to conserve.
And the Grammy goes to Winds of Samsara.
I'd like to thank the Recording Academy. Asatoma Satgamaya Om Shanti 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 Om.
The Grammy goes to Stuart Copeland and Ricky.
In India, we've got a saying called as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which literally means the world is one family. Live in peace with all entities on this planet, whether it is the animals, the wildlife, the forests. Divine Tides is all about coexistence.
Transcending the heights of musical joy through the melodies of mystical beats and creating a visual treat. Traversing the divine strings through Himalayas. Ricky Cage, congratulations on another Grammys, this time for Divine Tides, giving one and all a pleasure ride in the ocean of spiritualistic might, gearing towards India's brilliant divine culture in the hindsight, bringing the zenith of musical elating with a deep meaning just right.
We should all make it our mission to make everyone fall in love with the natural world, and hopefully through that love we will clean, protect and conserve.
Multiple Grammy Award winner Ricky Cage, also the first Indian American whose album debuted at #1 on the US Billboard New Age Albums chart, and an Indian American on the Real Leaders 100 list, which is a signatory to the United Nations that curates the list of leaders who inspired the future, is right here with us on YoIndiaTV via Zoom.
It is time, let's do this, it's our time, let's do this, it is time to shine a light.
Tell us all about the making of Divine Tides, how the idea was conceptualized, the creating of the visuals, the choice of the instruments and the artists, and most of all, the joy of producing such a great symphony.
So I'll start off with in 2015 when I'd won the Grammy for my album Winds of Samsara. It was my 16th studio album, and ever since I won the Grammy for that album, I've always been wanting to make a follow-up to that album. And but I've had quite a relentless touring schedule, performing all over the world. Like, for example, in 2019, the year before the pandemic, I did about 70 concerts in more than 13 countries. And so it was just constant traveling. And there was no time for me to actually sit down in the studio in a focused manner and create a new album. And then what happened was that in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we were forced to be indoors, and it presented itself as an opportunity for me to actually sit in the studio and create some new music. And I started creating the music that would eventually go on to Divine Tides. And while creating the music, I felt a very strong need of a collaborator, somebody who's a virtuoso musician, an excellent musician, also an excellent producer, and somebody who can help me compose the album. And my childhood idol has always been Stuart Copeland. Somebody who I've grown up with posters of his on my wall, and listening to his music since my childhood, since I was a very small boy. And I reached out to him, and luckily he agreed to join me on this journey. And then we created the album. So him in Los Angeles, me in Bangalore, working remotely with hundreds of Zoom calls, hundreds of messages, Skype calls, remote recording sessions, phone calls. And we finished off the album, released it in July, created 9 beautiful music videos, which we shot all over the world. And at the end of it, we got nominated for the Grammy, and I'd not even met Stuart Copeland in person. And so the first time I actually met him in person was 7 days before the Grammy Awards. I met him in Nashville at a concert of mine. Concert of his,
after all the collaboration and success. Wow.
Yeah, after all the collaboration and success, never met him in person. So met him in Nashville, and he had this amazing concert with the Nashville Symphony Orchestra. So met him and spent some quality time with him. Then we flew together to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles we flew to Las Vegas for the Grammys, and we ended up winning the Grammy Award together.
Divine Tides is a collection of very traditional elements. The elements that Ricky Kedge has put together are all deeply steeped in tradition and classical musical language.
Divine Tides is the culmination of my love for music, for the environment, for positive change, and for the love of writing music that defines who I truly am.
How was your personal experience? I mean, second time. So how was it overall? What did you feel?
It was a great experience, obviously, because the Grammys is one of the biggest platforms that one can get. I make music only on the environment and social causes. I do not make pop music. I do not make film music. So the thing is that, so for me, every platform that is given to me is really important so that I can spread my message of awareness and advocacy on various issues when it comes to the environment and sustainability and society and, and various social causes. So that way I felt really good. And in addition, it also felt extremely good to actually win this award with my childhood idol on stage, with Stuart. So it was just a very, very beautiful experience.
Yeah, multiple things together. Fantastic. So 7 years back in 2015 as well, you had won Grammys for your album Winds of Samsara in the Best New Age Album category as well. So how confident were you then versus this time?
I guess the thing is that the primary objective of making this music is not about awards. So awards is one of the things that happens to give us a platform,
Absolutely.
Which I'm very grateful for. And I think it's really important, any recognition given for music is really, really important, and it's very welcome. But at the same time, I would say that both the times I was not actually nervous. The first time I was not nervous before the awards because it had not sunk in completely, the magnitude of it. Of the awards, it had not sunk in till the time I actually went to the ceremony. And this time, just before the ceremony, I had a 9-city concert tour in America, so I was really busy, doing concerts in all these cities and traveling. And so basically that. So that way it was, my mind was off the Grammys. So that way I did not have any time to be nervous because I was so busy doing these concerts.
She is none but us, and we are none but her. And we will always be one heart, one heart.
So, Ricky, you have also performed keyboards in the 2016 Grammy-winning album Grace. So, give us some insights into your love for keyboard over other instruments, your definition of musical perfection, and your memories of Grace.
So the thing is that I collaborate with a lot of musicians, not just on my music, but even on their music. So Grace was one such project where there's this amazing musician called Paul. So he had come up with these amazing compositions. So I collaborated with him, played some keyboards on his music. And that album went on to winning a Grammy Award. It was a beautiful album. So very proud to be a part of that. And like that, I've been a part of many albums. Like every year I'm a part of almost like, I collaborate with at least 20 to 30 different projects every single year. So that was one such project.
ever think that you should also sing? I mean, you compose, and some musicians actually have a time of composition, like I will do it in the night and that will, strike a chord in my own mind and I can produce the best music according to the theme. So you have a particular timing of working, and do you ever think about singing as well?
It's just the same question that I can ask you. Why don't you play the sitar? So it's not that easy, right? So it's the same thing for me. Like it's singing is a very singing is not a joke. Singing is a very important and a very what do you call that? It requires a lot of skill to do that. So
every business is serious.
Yeah. So that is why. So it's not just that I wake up one morning and say that, okay, let me sing. So it's not like that. Yeah, it requires years of practice, years of dedication, and the singers that I work with are extremely talented and they are really, really good singers. So I'm very fortunate to work with them. So there's no need for me to sing because there are so many fantastic singers in this world that I can actually collaborate with. And about timing for composing, no, whenever inspiration strikes, that's when I compose music. There's no such thing that it has to be in the morning or evening. Whenever I feel like, I compose music.
And some people even have those favorite seasons or favorite places. If I sit alone in some garden, then I can create music, that could be nature could be an inspiration.
I guess that's for people who find it difficult to compose music, because then they need an external stimulus or they need some kind of a ritual to compose music. But I guess for most musicians, you can just, music is always running in your mind.
So Ricky, you have reflected your talent on diverse platforms. You have had the privilege and the opportunity of composing music for the most popular Indian sport, which is cricket. The 2011 Cricket World Cup opening ceremony at Dhaka, Bangladesh, played your tunes. How do you compose with an objective in mind or a theme as a basis, as in for cricket or divinity or environment, as in 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference by PM Modi and French President Francois Hollande, or UNICEF-backed My Earth Songs for Kids? How do you transpose yourself into that needed mindset for such customized deliveries?
So it's not customized deliveries. It's whatever I make music on whatever I feel like. So the thing is that if I feel strongly about, about certain topics that I need to communicate to children, then I make children's songs on it. And if I feel that I need to communicate something about climate change or climate action, then I make music on that. Now, coming to the 2011 World Cup, which happened in Dhaka in Bangladesh. So there what happened was that that was very simple for me to create, because it was they required music that celebrated India. And in my mind, because India, even though it happened in Dhaka, India was the host nation. And so what I did was that I just was just inspired by different art forms, different musical forms in India, and I created that entire soundscape for the entire opening ceremony. So it was a great project to work with and to collaborate with the ICC on.
Yeah. Now, you have lived in Bangalore for a long time. So what impact does the city have on your music?
A huge impact, obviously, because whatever I am today is because I've lived in Bangalore. So I'm a complete Bangalorean. I've been here since I was 8 years old. Now I'm 40, so I've been here for about 32 years. So my home is Bangalore. My home will always be Bangalore, and my favorite musicians live in Bangalore. So so Bangalore is whatever I am is because of the city that I'm in.
So your album on the environmental consciousness drew participation of over 300 nationally and internationally acclaimed actors, artists, and musicians, including the Bollywood superstar and living legend Amitabh Bachchan. And it's not easy to put it all together. So what kind of challenges or impediments did you face, and how did you overcome them to make this project with 24 tracks a phenomenal success as it is in a timely fashion?
So this particular album actually started off with a conversation that I had with Prime Minister Modi. So I had this beautiful 1-hour conversation with him where we were talking about the environment and we were talking about climate change. And he told me that he's going to be visiting the climate change conference later that year in the end of November. And so then that is when we decided that, that I'll make an album which has got musicians from all over the world, which talks about climate action and which talks about the state of our environment today, but also celebrates our environment. So a beautiful album. And he would launch that album at the climate change conference. So that's what I did. I went, I traveled all over the world, met musicians who felt as strongly as I did about climate change and about what we are facing on our planet, which is the biggest existential threat that we've ever faced. And I was very, very thrilled that I got participation from everyone, including, as you mentioned, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Shankar Mahadevan and Hariharan and Pandit Vishwamohan Bhatt and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London, Abbey Road Studios, members of the Nashville Symphony, and Philip Lawrence from Bruno Mars. So it was very nice to get all these artists together on one album. And Prime Minister Modi launched the album at the climate change conference along with the then French President François Hollande. And the album has been a success ever since then.
Climate change is absolutely real. Climate change is human-induced. Climate change is affecting all of us, and our actions are affecting countries on the other side of the world.
I believe you have produced multiple jingles as well, and all the jingles are very short. How much time does it take for you to, work on a single jingle?
So jingles, they are between 30 seconds. They can even be 15 seconds, or they can even go up to about 2 minutes. And so I started off my career doing jingles, and I did in a span of 13 years, I did more than 3,500 of them. So I'd been doing a whole lot of these jingles. And at the so I guess the thing is that so I used to be very busy during those days. I used to wake up in the morning and I used to work on a brief from a client in India, let's say starting at about 8:30 in the morning, and then I would finish off that jingle by about let's say about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and deliver that. And then at about 4 o'clock I would get a call from a client in Europe, and I would start off on that particular jingle. That would go on to about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock at night. And then at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock at night, I would get a call from a client in America, and I would start off work on that. So I was to barely sleep. I used to constantly work, and that's why in 13 years I did more than 3,500 of them. And but then of course I stopped doing that because I felt that I should be making music only on things that I believe in and on topics that I believe strongly in, rather than being told what kind of music to make. So that's why around 2013-14 is when I stopped doing commercial jingles.
Yeah. But sometimes what happens when, you are very talented, so maybe it never happened to you, but when other people work on certain projects, even though jingles is a small project, I'm just giving an example, in any commercial project, when someone is paying, they expect you do this, and sometimes you have to go back and do it, incorporate their feedback, which may or may not be genuinely needed, right? And sometimes they won't even have that kind of knowledge or aptitude or depth of the stuff, and they will just provide feedback. And when a customer provides feedback, it's very difficult to take it the way you should take it always. Have you ever faced this kind of a situation?
No, if you're working with people and collaborators, that is always the case, and one has to be realistic about it, and there has to be a compromise somewhere. So the thing is that one has to see that, like, that if you are 100% sure in your experience that what the client is requesting is not going to work, then you have to find a very good way to explain it to them. You cannot because they are not trying to make something worse. They're trying to make something work. But sometimes what they want to happen to the jingle and what they feel will work, sometimes your experience tells you that it's not going to work. So there are two ways to go about it. One is that you try to convince them very well that that what they're asking for is not going to work. Or the second thing is that go ahead and do what they're asking you to do, and then show them your version and show them their version, and show them that that the version that I want to do is actually a better version, and then at least they know that you're not trying to be lazy and not trying to do something. You are incorporating their feedback, but even then you're trying to show them that their feedback is not working. So there are multiple ways to deal with this, but I feel that it's very important to keep it in your mind that if somebody is asking you to make a change or somebody is giving you feedback, they're not trying to make it worse. In their mind, they feel that it is working. So basically, you should not hate the person for giving you feedback. You should take the feedback and very constructively, and then try to understand, whether it's going to work or not.
That's beautiful.
To play with these ethnic elements, these different cultural tides, is very inspiring and very moving.
Working with Stuart Copeland has been a complete dream come true. His insight and inputs have been invaluable for the album Divine Tides, but also for my entire musical career.
The emotional impact of these mixes of culture is very profound. I'm sometimes moved to tears by the beauty of this music.
Ricky, tell us a little about your future plans. What are you trying to achieve next? Where do you see yourself now? You're so young. You already have a lot of achievements. So, at this juncture of your life, what do you plan to do next?
So right now, I'm just going to be concentrating on promoting Divine Tides, the album. Because I believe that if I start working on another major project, then I will neglect the promotions of Divine Tides. So that's why it's very important for me to hold back that temptation to start something new and and just go on promoting it, because I feel that there are a lot of people who would probably like the album who have not yet listened to it. So I just want to get as many people all over the world to listen to the music, and once I'm convinced that enough people have listened to the music, then I will move on to my next project.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I saw some of it. It's just so mesmerizing, the Himalayas and different musicians are singing, the way the video has been produced is also so amazing. It has been different angles, and the way the different instruments have been mixed, and with that visual blend, I think everyone should go and watch it, especially when an Indian American has made everyone proud,
There should be no one left, It's a worldwide phenomena. Anyway, Grammys is a worldwide phenomena. And if you are enjoying the music, plus on top of that, it takes you into that spiritual depth. And a lot of people who haven't visited Himalayas, that's really awesome for them as well. So at least I was blown away.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Ricky, a lot of kids and a lot of other people are inspired by you. You are one role model. Grammys is really not easy. In fact, I would say kind of impossible. Something you have achieved the impossible. So you have climbed that Everest already. What's your give out to the people who are watching, what steps they should follow? Everyone tells us learn classical and, then everyone is not able to switch over.
So I would say there are just two things. One is that whatever you're doing, whether it's classical music or pop music or whatever, I think hard work is key to everything. And everybody say that you have to work hard. But that's absolutely true because, hard work can compensate for any lack of talent you may have, or it can compensate for any lack of education that you may have. So I think it's very, very important that you have to put in a lot of hard work, much more hard work than you would put into in an engineering degree or a medical degree, because with an engineering degree or a medical degree, there's a clear-cut pathway as to what your career is going to be. But with music, you have to create your own path. So that's why you have to be very, very hardworking. And second thing is that I would say that along with doing commercial music, it's very important to do advocacy through music, because I think that being artists, we have a responsibility of sharing positive social messages to people, also trying to make this world a better place in our own tiny, small capacity. So I would say that if you're an artist or if you're a striving artist, it's very important that you spend some time along with the commercial music that you're creating, spend some time to try and make this world a better place through your art.
Wonderful.
So is there anything that specifically for YoIndiaTV viewers you would like to say or play, or I don't know what I can request you?
Just a big thank you, and enjoyed this interview.
Thank you so much, Ricky ji.
Thank you.
Very best for all your next moves. Everyone, please go and watch Divine Tides. And thank you again so very much for talking to YoIndiaTV. Thank you.
All my very best. Thank you.